Here's a new train track moral thought experiment. Suppose you are at a train station and you see a woman standing on the track holding a test tube with a human embryo in it. A train is coming toward the woman, and if you do nothing, it will kill the woman and destroy the test tube. Or you can flip a switch, which is right next to you and takes no more effort on your part than lifting a finger. Then the train will be diverted. Then the woman will be saved, but she will be startled and will drop the test tube and it will be destroyed. Do you flip the switch? This should be a no-brainer. This should not even be a question, and yet it is. Because "don't touch that switch" is exactly Herschel Walker's campaign stance. Let's have a chat. Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me, and especially to my patrons and channel members. Shout out to Jukari, my newest channel member. And incidentally, there is a typo in the membership for the grand toddlers, and I have tried several times to fix it, but I can't get the changes to save, so I seem to be stuck with it. The thought experiment that I gave in the introduction is exactly the stance that Herschel Walker has taken on abortion. His platform says no abortion, ever, for any reason, even to save the life of the mother. The most common medical emergency abortion is for an ectopic pregnancy. It is a common occurrence. It is estimated that about 2% of all pregnancies are ectopic pregnancies. While 2% isn't a large percentage, it does equate to about 100,000 cases per year in the United States. I want to note that I recognize that not all pregnant people are women. However, since they are the vast majority, I will use the terms pregnant woman and mother for ease of sentence structure and grammar. An ectopic pregnancy is when the embryo is developing outside of the uterus, most commonly in the fallopian tube. An ectopic pregnancy is not a viable pregnancy. There is no chance for the embryo to develop into a viable baby. What's more, as the embryo grows, it will cause the fallopian tube to burst and the mother will die. The only ethical option is to abort the pregnancy to save the mother, to divert the train to save the woman, as there is no chance to save the test tube, regardless of what you do. Yet Herschel Walker, in his campaign for Senate, says he wants a total ban on abortion. No exceptions. When asked by reporters to clarify this stance, he says, "There's no exception in my mind. Like I say, I believe in life. I believe in life." He did not single out exceptions for rape, incest, or the life of the mother specifically, but he said repeatedly that he wanted no exceptions, which is completely contradictory. If you make no exception to save the life of the mother, then you cannot claim to be pro-life. If your only choice is to let the embryo die or let both the embryo and the mother die, and you choose the latter, you are not pro-life. You are pro-death for women with life-threatening pregnancies. How can one withhold life-saving medical care to any pregnant person with a life-threatening condition and then call themselves pro-life? Herschel Walker has told us that in the train scenario, he would not touch the switch. Let both the woman and the embryo in the test tube die. He would literally not lift a finger to save either one. Then he has the gall to say not only would he not act to save a pregnant woman whose life is in danger, he wants to criminalize the act of saving her. He would criminalize touching the switch that would save her. How can such a position possibly be considered pro-life? Worse yet, he would all but render the practice of obstetrics limited to delivering babies. If a woman came to her OB doctor while pregnant, the doctor could examine her and say that all is well, if it is. But if all is not well, The doctor's hands are tied to do anything to help the woman's medical condition, if that aid could possibly harm the embryo or fetus. If harming a fetus is a crime, any medical procedure that could possibly harm the fetus would then be a criminal act, even if the end result is to make life possible for both the mother and the unborn. You might as well just close all the OB clinics, as the medical staff won't be allowed to do anything. How could anyone think that such an absurd idea is reasonable? The NFL recently changed their concussion protocols to prevent players with head trauma from further endangering themselves. I think Walker should be removed from the Senate race per the new concussion protocols. He clearly is incapable of logical reasoning. His continued presence in the Senate race is a clear and present danger to all people who can become pregnant, and to all people in the field of obstetrics. Walker is a candidate for the U.S. Senate, not a state office, a national office. If elected, he wants to codify this as the law for the entire country, not just the state of Georgia that he would represent. Basically, he wants all pregnant women in this country with life-threatening conditions to die. In the immortal words of Hermione Granger,
"What an idiot."
The media has made much of Walker's hypocrisy in recent weeks over the allegations that he himself paid for his girlfriend to have an abortion and urged her to have a second abortion, which she refused, instead bearing and raising Walker's child. While this hypocrisy is egregious, I find it less egregious than his position on abortion. Frankly, I don't care if he is a total hypocrite, provided he's kept away from the Senate, where he has the potential to make this the law of our entire country. This is where I think we need to keep the focus. On the other hand, the media focus on his hypocrisy has in fact caused him to lose ground in the polls. I'll take the win wherever I can get it, and I am grateful that he has shot himself in the foot on this, but I continue to be confused that more people are now outraged by his ludicrous stance on abortion. Does no one care that his platform includes a death sentence for not just a few, but hundreds of thousands of women? Violence against women is nothing new to Walker. In 2001, Cindy Grossman, his ex-wife, filed for divorce and a protection order from Walker after she says he held a gun to her head and threatened to blow her brains out. He threatened to kill Cindy's family as well, resulting in a protection order that required Walker to surrender all firearms that he owned. Definitely sounds pro-life, doesn't he? Without the Trump endorsement, I doubt anyone would take Walker seriously as a candidate. As the Republican Party was deciding who to nominate for Senate, staff didn't want Walker because they knew that his violent history would be an issue. But Trump wanted him. Of course he did. Trump is also no fan of women, and unfortunately, those that worship the orange guy continue to vote for anyone that they are told to. I do not want to see my children and grandchildren grow up in a country where medical care is only for men. I do not want to turn back the clock to a time when the leading cause of death for women is childbirth. And yet that is exactly where Walker wants to take us. The Supreme Court is also leaning in this direction. Its latest decisions all focus on what was our country founded on, what was the law 100 years ago. It would seem that if women dying in childbirth was okay then for them it is okay now. Ignore the fact that the medical care to save these women wasn't available yet. If Walker is elected, he alone could not get such a law passed. But he isn't alone. The rest of the Christian nationalists are right there with him. And of course, Walker seems to think that he has the right to enforce these laws himself as well with his trophy sheriff's badge. I wonder if he thinks that he can be the judge, too. A doctor would be brought before him for saving a woman's life. Walker would sentence her to death because, after all, Walker is pro-life. Saving lives isn't allowed. Yeah, that one hurts my brain, too. Another effect these kinds of laws will have is to deter people from becoming pregnant in the first place. Planned pregnancy rates will drop as the risk to women of being pregnant increases. If the net result is fewer pregnancies, more women dying from pregnancy complications, what do you think that will do to the population? We are already at a stagnant population growth rate. The death rate in this country had a huge spike from the pandemic, but worse, the lack of available health care has resulted in a lower life expectancy rate for people in our country. We already deny health care to the poor. Next is women. Why? What is the goal here? A country of only rich white men? Got news for you, Walker. You're not included. No matter how you look at it, Walker is not pro-life. He is pro-death. Death to pregnant people and death to the unborn in the process. If Walker could trade places with the woman on the track, I'm sure he would want you to press the switch. Voters in Georgia, we need you to press the switch for us. Stop the train that is Herschel Walker, that is barreling down the tracks toward pregnant people. Live your life.